Always a journalist.
Yes, always, always. But the thing is, Liz, for some, it almost looks like an uphill task because many of them are very motivated, many of them are very driven, but the way society is going and they're like, how can we even get here? Was it easier for you guys? Did you guys not have to go through what we're going through? What is the difference with your generation in mind?
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's
How realistic can
appreciating
you
the
make
journey.
this?
I think the challenge is appreciating the journey, that nothing is handed over to you unless you win a lottery, I guess. Nothing is really handed to you. You have to demand it. You have to ask for that seat at the table. And if they don't give it, create your own folding chair or look for somewhere where you're appreciated, recognized, and your talents are acknowledged. Yeah, and that's really been the journey for me. I know when people, and the reason why I say the journey is so important ties back to the mentors. Some of these people have been through the pits, and you even listen to these stories and you're so empowered. And it doesn't have to be people who've accomplished and have dozens of real estate properties or there's a lineup of cars there. I think for me in my journey, what has been really inspirational and really empowering, because I started my career as a journalist when I was really young. So I'd be sent out to different places, rural towns, etc., to do stories. And I would sit down with this lady who is a single mom of 8 children who's worked so hard to provide for her children. And I'm so inspired, and I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it. You know, what's stopping you? I think just appreciating the diversity of different journeys, and that's why for me just being able to tell these stories is really important, because it provides, each story resonates with someone. Someone's journey is different. I've talked to people who are in research and development, people who have two PhDs who still say, I have to fight for my seat at the table, to people who've dropped out of school and they're thriving. So even when we tell young people you have to be self-reliant, there has to be a level of self-efficacy, all that happens when there's an enabling environment, which ties back to government policies. We have the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, we have the Youth Council, National Youth Council, but sometimes we don't see how this rope in, how young people are supported. We don't see counties, we don't see these platforms and forums where there is actual support for young people and their ideas. We don't have this environment that helps and supports innovation. I mean, I'm just looking at our neighbors in Rwanda and how much they have been able to achieve. One of the people featured in the book is somebody who's currently the High Commissioner to Singapore and New Zealand. We are exactly the same age. At 37, he is the High Commissioner. At 31, he was appointed by the President as the Minister for Transport, not as a tokenism, but because he had the qualifications and capacity and capabilities to do it. We saw the cabinet reshuffle the other day. You can't teach old dogs new tricks. We have young people who are burning to get handing it to them, but because they have the knowledge, they have the skills. What stops a young person from being the Minister of Sports? I mean, they sit, they breathe, they are actually in these fields and industries. For me, it's just that blatant disregard of what the young people bring to the table that will continue being a challenge for this country and for any other countries that really don't tap into the potential of young people.
I see. And what can be the solution? What can be an immediate response to this? Short term first and then long term.
I mean, the quick answer to this is really implementing all these great policies that sit in these offices and nothing is being done to them or being done to enforce them. I mean, I always say, Kenya, we have some of the most fabulous policies you can think of. The problem, the gap is in implementation and enforcement. That's the biggest challenge. I mean, it's a great step to have a forum or a town hall where you're talking to young people, but it's another to actually listen. There's one thing about talking, there's another thing about listening, actually empathizing, listening, and taking into consideration what young people are saying. We have so many young, talented Kenyans who are like, you know what, if I can't get an opportunity here, let me go out, look at the brain drain. Like people are like, you know, if I cannot make it here, let me go elsewhere where my children have a chance. And who's at loss? It's us as a generation. And I can't blame Gen Zers, Alphas, Millennials, Baby Boomers, because everybody is trying to protect their future, right?
Right. You know, the interesting thing is your book is a book for Africans by Africans, gotten through the social media village, if I can call it that, you know. And having that kind of intuition, just going back to where we began, is quite key, especially in analyzing and getting the moment very clearly, because most of the time you either miss it or you get it, but then you don't get it. And listening, like you said, is one of the things the young people keep saying. We want to be heard. You know, I know we look like we're complaining all the time. We're interested in funny things, but can you listen to us? So what kind of, I'm calling it intuition, but what kind of perspective do you need to have to capture this moment? Because that seems to be quite an issue. Even after many conversations, you either miss it or you get it.
We need visionary leaders. And to be able to see the vision, you need to integrate so many things, the trends that are happening and how you link them to the past events that have happened, how you contextualize.
For example, with you, what was that link for you back in 2018? When did you see social media is going to be what we are seeing it now as?
With the advent of new media, I was like, this is going to be such an opportunity for new jobs, for new conversations. I mean, back in the day, it was very difficult to just get things to work. And nowadays, I mean, social media for me has become like a tool of accountability and transparency. I remember seeing this, and what triggered that study for me even was when there was this particular pothole that was causing accidents on Bagathi Way.
I remember it.
You remember
Yes.
it, yeah? And people had an uproar, and everybody was
it.
complaining, and it was fixed. So it does work.
My
Social
tires.
media works.
Yeah.
Sorry, you are one of the victims.
I used to use that route a lot. Like,
Yeah,
I remember that.
So it does work. Of course, everything has a good and bad side. There's a lot of, I mean, for me, access to information is a brilliant thing, and information is power. If there's anything I'm so proud of Gen Zers doing, is this whole conversation of civic engagement. Look at TikTok. People are being taught about the Constitution. And there's somebody who asked a really amazing question. We have the Bible translated in almost all the languages we have in Kenya. Why don't we have the Constitution interpreted into or translated into all these languages that we have? It should be a right for people to have access to this kind of information. The Constitution is our handbook as a country. Everybody needs to know what it provides, what are the provisos there, right? So just the civic engagement that has been happening through the different channels, whether it's TikTok, it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, it's X, it's been really inspirational and empowering to see, oh wow, people are getting information, people are getting educated around their rights, around their freedoms, around how to hold the government or the people in power accountable for what they do, and not just government, but also private organizations. They're being held into to account for some of the things that they do. So for me, that has been really so wonderful to watch. Again, of course, there's a downside where we've seen social media has also perpetuated different conversations. It has, for me, also contributed, I think, to a large extent, some of the mental health and wellness issues that we have. But what I say to that is sometimes you have to guard your peace.
How do you do that?
I do it by really being careful what I consume, because sometimes you can imbibe so much and you just feel like you're going to explode. And sometimes I can see Remmy, oh, Remmy is in New York today, tomorrow she's I don't know where, but you don't know why they're there. So sometimes it helps to block such a person, not because you don't like them, but because you just want some kind of wellness and peace around yourself.
But you see, the funny
That
thing...
also, if I could, it's just about comparison. Social media has also created an avenue for a lot of comparison. And we know what comparison does. Comparison is a thief of all joy. So people tend to put themselves under so much pressure to accomplish so much under such a short period of time. It's a journey.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the other aspect of it is, for example, I remember looking at TikTok I think 2020 or so, if I'm not wrong, or 2021, I'm not sure. And there was this, it almost felt like these young people were creating things, if it's dances or whatever, you know, but there's also the other side of it, which is quite negative. You know, whatever, now they're coming together. And I remember one conversation, I just entered into a live conversation, and they're like, we're doing this because, I mean, my parents are not home, so I'm just here, you know, I'm doing my thing. So it's an avenue you can learn positive, or you can, you know, get informed, but
depending
also
on what you want to consume.
Yeah.
So there's always the fear of missing out, but now there's the counter of the joy of missing out. There are people who are comfortable in missing out.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a young person, you need to be careful what you consume, and knowing your brand community as well is very important. Where do you want your message out to be? You can't be on each and every social media platform.
That is true. But then how would you address what is happening with the mental health of our young people? Because while I was doing other shows, productions, one of the things that some of the creatives were saying is, like, there's so much to take in, even involuntarily. You're just getting information, and your feed is showing you things that, even if it's positive, it kind of a bit is too much. So in your network, how do you advise people to?
You have to take a break. It's like work. That's why we have like leave days. Even as an entrepreneur, the moments you're like, you know what, I'm not looking at that phone for the next 24 hours. It's just a level of self-awareness is really important, to know where you're pushing your boundaries and telling yourself, you know, it's okay not to know what is happening all the time. It really is okay. And just sometimes having the tunnel vision focus of, this is what I want to do, these are the kind of conversations I want to follow. Anything else is just noise. And you have to know how to drown the noise sometimes. And the only way to do that sometimes is to, one, take breaks, two, be very picky around which platforms you're on. Is it LinkedIn? Is it Facebook? Is it TikTok? Is it Snapchat? Is it all these different groups that you're in? What do you want to take in, and how are you able to really balance that out?
I see.
I think that just taking breaks is really important.
It's vital.
Yeah.
Right. So as a risk taker, up until now, like you said, you're 37, and there's so much.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a good thing.
I feel like I was 21 yesterday.
Man, you and me both, man. You and me both. But you're now, you're in the avenue that is basically a whole lot of communication with different people and different things. And there's so much that you've accumulated in terms of experience over the years. So what's that one thing that you have said, wow, this was a defining moment for me over time as a young person today?
I think when you're passionate about something and consistent about it, the results speak for themselves. I remember saying, and I always tell this story, the first time I was ever published was when I was 10 years old. Because consistently from when I was 6 or 7 years old, I would always write letters to the editor, because back then there was Young Nation. Now there's I always used to write, like, I want to have, because I've always been passionate about telling stories. And I've always been very passionate about social justice issues, because both my parents being civil servants, we've lived in different parts of Kenya, where I've seen, marginalized communities, where I've seen the injustices of age discrimination, injustices of child marriages, etc. And I've always wanted to speak up and speak out on those issues. Sometimes I speak up, and oftentimes people are like, you're so bold. I'm like, no, my voice inside is shaking. Even if outside, I'm like, we need to speak out about these things, but you have to do it. If you don't, who will? You have to be an advocate for yourself and for the people around you. So that has really been helpful for me in my career, seeing both my parents, the challenges they've had as civil servants, who worked tirelessly hard to ensure that we got a good education, that we never slept hungry despite all the challenges that we had. I mean, it's really encouraging to see that, and that for me was very inspirational.
Okay, so can you say the hashtag YouthCan for your book is sort of a bold statement?
It is a bold statement.
Act of rebellion also.
Yes. I cannot tell you, Remy, how many times I was very fortunate to sit in senior leadership roles at a very young age. I think my first ever senior leadership role, I was 24 or 25. And I can't tell you how many times I had in these meetings people saying, oh, don't hire too many young people. And for women, it's even young women, it's worse. Because then I recall this one time I was very upset when I sat in a panel, and for some reason, young women are very good at articulating themselves and during interviews, etc. And you know, women are always asked questions that men are not asked, like how many children do you have? Are you married? What has that got to do with your work output, you know? And for me, I found it very offensive. And I recall this one time, this young lady came for an interview and she was asked those questions, and she said she has 3 kids. And one of the directors said, the male senior director said, you wouldn't be surprised, those are 3 children from 3 different fathers.
Oh.
I was very upset, and I actually complained it to the HR, and we changed the policy within our workplace that there's some questions you just do not ask because it's invasion of privacy. And we need, if I didn't speak up, then it would be something that is consistently perpetuated. So it's tough for young women especially. You know, I've sat in conversations where somebody has said, you know, let's not hire too many young women because they'll all get pregnant at the same time. We won't. I mean, those are some of the conversations that happen that really upset me. And that's why for the book, I wanted to show that there's so much potential in young people, regardless of their age, their background, their context, etc. And they shouldn't be judged because of their age. You know, when people talk about age discrimination, I know there's a lot of articles and publications around older people being discriminated, but also we face a lot of the reverse in Africa, where young people are banished or they're not listened to when they bring things to the table. They don't have a seat at the table.
I see.
That's what I really wanted the book to change. It's like illuminating the path for telling young people, see, my story is not different from yours. I got you, we got this, we can move on, we can, besides the challenges we have, we can still move forward. And also it's evidence for older generations to just give the benefit of the doubt to young people.
I see. What impact have you seen from, you know, some of the stories in your book, even in different countries, other African countries?
Yes. I mean, to be honest with you, Remy, beyond just the networking, I know if I flew to Guinea-Conakry today, I will not sleep. I will not be, like, I won't, if I don't have a hotel, there's somewhere I can go to.
I see.
Because of the features I've done of so many people, whether it's in Liberia, Guinea-Conakry, Cape Verde, South Africa, Lesotho. I mean, it's such a vibrant network of young people that we try reach out to each other or connect other people to each other. Oh, I saw your post, you're in this country. X is also in this country. I think you guys would collaborate, or, you know, just creating those opportunities for people, because I really believe in the power of collaboration and inclusion. So it's really worked. It's been like a ripple effect. And every time people are asking, when is volume 2 coming?
Is volume 2 coming? Is it coming?
Well, maybe in a different version, but yes, it will come sooner rather than later, but I'm optimistic about it.
Do you want to give us a date of sorts?
Not at the moment, but I just feel like the goodwill the book has, I mean, just going back to what I was saying about passion and consistency without really being overly focused on the end result. I mean, when Elle Italy reached out to me to do a feature, I was like, what? I mean, the book is not even in Italian, it's purely in English. And they were like, we're so impressed with the young talent that is in Africa. And the feature in Elle Italy was not just about me, it also featured 5 other African women. So creating those platforms and avenues has been really, like, for me, mind-boggling. And just the response and the support for the book has been really fantastic.
Amazing. So Liz, as we wind up, what would be your final comments on this matter of where society is right now and what youth empowerment can look like or is supposed to look like?
One, it's we need to move away from this whole conversation of the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. This tomorrow never comes. It's like a mirage. The youth are the leaders of today. They need to be granted those opportunities. We need to recognize that they're knowledgeable, they're capable, they have the right qualifications for all these positions that continually are present. They need to be invited into these conversations, into the boardrooms, into these government spaces. We need to implement, not just talk about the policies that exist, but implement these policies for the betterment of our future generations.
All right. Liz, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, it's fundamental that you're able to just gather all these stories and show people what's possible, because I believe, as always, we'll need more stories of hope other than the perspective of the continent in being a particular way that it's not. We're always having, delivering sad stories.
Absolutely.
I mean,
there's so much beauty in Africa, and I'm always one of these people who believes in the power of, like, we're all in a state of becoming. We're learning better from yesterday to become better future leaders in whatever realm we're in. So we're in a constant state of becoming.
All right. Thank you so much, Liz. Appreciate you being on the show.
You.
And that has been, like I mentioned, Liz Ntunjira. She's a strategic communication specialist and author of the book Youth Can. This one right here is, she's been talking about the personalities, thought leaders, young people whose stories have been motivational, that she's able to gather throughout different social media platforms and, that have impact, and put them on here, and then now have you and other people be aware of who these people are and what they've been able to do, and also in turn get inspired and motivated. And this has been Youth Pulse. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Remmy Majala. We'll see you again tomorrow on Tuesday, which is our Health and Wellness Day. Thank you so much for watching.
Brace yourself for a heart-stopping action.
Why do you like me?
I just like you for who you are. Whenever I see you, I feel really happy.
Heartwarming friendships.
You think you can cut my share of the rent?
Say what?
And heart-trending romance.
I think I like you more than I thought.
I won't. I won't let you go.
In a tale that proves true heroism knows no bounds. My Superhero, where courage meets destiny. Every Saturdays and Sundays on your favorite TV station, K24.
DJ Blackie, K24 TV Mix Master. Like a boss.
Yo, when it comes to playing the best music videos, we've got you covered. Check this out, Caribbean. Afrobeat.
Now which kind life way I never see.
Our famous and infamous K&J jams.
Goda, 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 tena, strictly Makwela, no other tena.
And all the hits from across the globe.
That's just how we roll.
This is the Beatbox. Monday to Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on K24.
We interrupt this program to bring you some breaking news.
Meet the team of undercover teenage spies working for a fictional version of the secret intelligence agency known as the MI9.
This keeps happening!
They had to strike a balance between school life and their job as secret agents.
First day back at school and we're gonna be late. Shh.
MI High. Every Saturday from 10 a.m. Only on K24. Have you watched K24? We would love to hear from you. Send us your feedback on what you like and what you don't like and why. You can use any platform to reach us. We can be reached on Facebook, SMS, Twitter and WhatsApp.
Benki ya NCBA imeimarisha huduma zake na kuwezesha Wakenya kujiendeleza katika sehemu mbalimbali. Jumatatu hii, jiunge na kikosi cha Kameme FM, Gatonyo wa Mbogwa na Muthe Kiengei asubuhi katika branch ya Githunguri. Kisha tuungane na kikosi cha Koigangara, Gathaiya Dennis na Ngoni wa Thuita katika branch ya Limuru kuanzia saa 8. Itakuwa ni siku ya kujumuika na Kameme FM. Tujielimishe mengi kuhusu huduma mpya za NCBA Bank. NCBA Bank utatumbuizwa na wanazangalewa na Mboro wa Wanja.
NCBA Bank, go for it.
In Zari, nothing is certain.
I don't think we'll ever be the same again.
Will you survive the jealousy?
Unajiona tajiri eh? Zitaisha tu tuone utaringana pesa gani.
The secrets.
Ukiambia mtu yeyote boss. Nini uniambia Lona?
The deception.
To family.
Will Nina survive Lola?
How is this possible?
The ultimate face-off. Zari continues weeknights at 8:30 on Maisha Magic Plus, DSTV channel 163, GoTV.